Have you ever heard of the prophecy of Saint Malachy? It's a fascinating and mysterious prediction that has intrigued many people, especially those who follow prophecies related to the Catholic Church. When Pope Francis became the leader of the Church, it raised a lot of questions because some believe he is the Pope mentioned in Saint Malachy's prophecy. Now, what if I told you that there is some evidence suggesting this ancient prophecy might be happening right before our eyes? It's definitely something to think about, isn't it? Let's take a moment to dive into the details of the prophecy and explore what it says. Saint Malachy, a significant 12th century saint, is said to have had a vision that predicted the names of all future popes, starting from Pope Celestine II all the way to the end of time. According to some, the current pope, Pope Francis, fits the description of the final pope mentioned in this prophecy. This has sparked a lot of discussion, with many people referring to him as Peter the Roman, the last pope in Saint Malachy's vision. Some believe the name Peter the Roman is important because of the connection to Saint Peter, the first pope, and the fact that Pope Francis has Italian roots, despite being born in Argentina. Now let's go back to where this all began. The prophecy of the popes consists of 112 cryptic sayings, written in Latin, that aim to predict the names of the future popes. It was first introduced in 1595 by a monk named Arnold Wyon, who claimed that these predictions came from visions experienced by Saint Malachy. According to the story, Malachy had a vision while in Rome, which revealed the names of all 112 popes who would lead the Catholic Church from his time until the very end of the world. These visions were kept in secret, stored away in the Vatican archives for many years. Then, in the 16th century, Arnold Wyon discovered this ancient text just in time for a crucial papal conclave. The prophecy has fascinated many throughout history. It's one of the most well-known predictions connected to the Catholic Church, and while some argue that it's not accurate, others find it eerily precise. Now, let's focus on what makes this prophecy so intriguing. According to Saint Malachy's vision, the 112th Pope would be the last, and he would oversee a period of great tribulation for the Catholic Church. In fact, the prophecy includes a chilling prediction. In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will pastor his sheep through many tribulations. After this, the prophecy claims that the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the final judgment will take place. It's a powerful and unsettling statement, and many people wonder if we're witnessing the fulfillment of these words today. Is Pope Francis the final pope? Are we on the verge of the end of an era for the Catholic Church? While no one can say for certain, the connection between the prophecy and Pope Francis is certainly intriguing and raises a lot of questions. Whether you believe in prophecies or not, the idea that we might be living through a significant moment in history is something worth considering. What do you think about this prophecy? Could Saint Malachy have predicted something truly remarkable? Are we getting closer and closer to the culmination of Saint Malachy's prophecy? Certainly, it seems to be the case. But the question that is worth $1 million is, why is Pope Francis's reign intended to come to an end at this time? At this point, things start to take a surprising turn. All right, then let me fill you in. He is the first Jesuit to ever hold the position of Pope, having assumed it on March 13, 2013. On the other hand, Pope Francis is currently facing some controversy. His status as one of the most contentious bishops of Rome in the history of the Roman Catholic Church gives him a special place in the annals of the Church's history. And you ask, why? As soon as he ascended to the throne, he was confronted with a great deal of chaotic situations inside the Church. A significant problem was the crisis involving clergy members who sexually abused children and the Church's attempt to cover it up. It's not good. When a report was published in 2018 detailing abuse in Pennsylvania, however, this crisis was brought to the forefront of public attention in a significant way. In addition, he had dissatisfied a few individuals with his beliefs. The fact that he had written a book with the title Amoris Laetitia got him into a lot of trouble. Holy Communion should be made available to those who have been married, divorced, and then remarried in the future at some point. However, there are some members of the church who disagree with that. On August 11, 2017, a group of 40 members of the Catholic clergy and intellectuals wrote a letter to Pope Francis that was 25 pages long and was essentially a major complaint. It was said that he was disseminating notions that were in direct opposition to the fundamental values of the Church. They stated that his remarks in a treatise known as Amoris Laetitia, together with other things he said and did, were successfully promoting false views about marriage, moral life, and the sacraments. However, that was not the end of it. According to a story that was published by CNN on May 18, 2018, a number of bishops in Chile resigned from their positions during a crisis that involved sexual assault. This was a significant event that contributed to the difficulties that the church was already experiencing. Now, let's go back in time a little bit to the 19th of October in 2013, and you might want to pay special attention to this. An expression of caution was sent by a Catholic bishop by the name of Bernard Fett, who is more of a conservative. It was his assertion that Pope Francis was the one responsible for the collapse of the church, and that he may be announcing the beginning of something really negative, such as the reign of the Antichrist. Are you of the opinion that this is a rather significant warning? On the other hand, let us not overlook the other side of the truth. Individuals have a lot of respect for Pope Francis because he is kind. He is concerned about the destitute, and he engages in conversation with individuals of many religious backgrounds. In addition to this, he is concerned about the environment, and a great number of people all around the world admire him. According to the results of a World Value Survey conducted in February 2014, a significant number of individuals believe that he is able to bring people together in a positive manner. On the other hand, there is a degree of disagreement because there are members of the Catholic Church who disagree with certain teachings that he shares. To put it into perspective, one of the most devastating blows came in the shape of a letter that was 11 pages long and arrived on the scene on August 25, 2018. An archbishop named Carlo Maria Vigano, who had previously served as the papal nuncio to the United States, was the one who wrote this letter. Archbishop Vigano, in a letter, made the accusation that Pope Francis had neglected his obligations to the Church, notably with regard to a person called Theodore McCarrick. The Vatican and Pope Francis were accused of failing to take appropriate action in response to claims of sexual abuse leveled against McCarrick, despite the fact that they were aware of the charges. In addition, the letter did not hold back in any way. He even had to resign from his position as Pope as a result of this. Here we are, moving forward in time to the present day. The controversy surrounding Pope Francis is not confined to the confines of Vatican City. The crisis has spread over the entirety of the internet, with individuals expressing their excitement on YouTube regarding allegations and charges. It is becoming more and more obvious that it is not only regular people who are criticizing the Pope on the internet. Priests, bishops, cardinals, and lay experts are also becoming loud critics of the Pope. Certain sectors within the Church, notably conservative groups and news sites such as Church Militant and the Remnant TV, are vehemently opposed to Pope Francis and his more contemporary views. This has resulted in the Church being split. You may be asking whether or not the crises and allegations that have been occurring have any connection to the prophecy that Saint Malachy made. In addition to being a valid question, this is the point at which things get even more stunning. As we have seen, The prophecy of Saint Malachy contains enigmatic descriptions of the popes, and some people have been able to match these descriptions to prior popes with a level of precision that is rather astonishing. As a result, when we consider the problems and conflicts that are currently taking place inside the Church, it begs the issue of whether or not Pope Francis may, in fact, be the final pope, as Saint Malachy predicted. It should come as no surprise that the forecasts made by Saint Malachy are regarded quite seriously. As a matter of fact, Cardinal Spellman of New York made an unusual effort to bring attention to the prophecy in the year 1958, just prior to the conclave that elected Pope John XXIII. For the purpose of demonstrating that he was the shepherd and sailor that was promised in the predictions, he chartered a boat that was full of sheep and cruised up and down the Tiber River. Let's take a closer look at the prophecy surrounding Pope Benedict, who holds the position of the 111th Pope. His papacy is known by the title Gloria Ol, which translates to the glory of the olive. This has sparked debate among some, as it's believed that the prophecies of Saint Malachy might not be entirely accurate. According to the prophecy, after Benedict, the next pope, referred to as Peter Romanus, is predicted to be the last pope. This idea brings a chilling sense of reality, as some aspects of the prophecy seem to align with actual events. For example, consider the case of Pope Urban VII, whose papal motto was Lilium et Rosa, meaning the lily and the rose. Urban VII came from Florence, and the city's emblem is an iris, which bears a striking resemblance to a lily, making the connection to the prophecy seem almost eerie. Another fascinating example comes from Pope John Paul II, whose papal title was Dior Solis, meaning of the eclipse of the sun. Interestingly, he was born on May 18, 1920, a date that coincided precisely with a solar eclipse. This alignment of his name with the eclipse event adds an uncanny layer of meaning to his papacy. Beyond these individual prophecies, history is filled with events that reflect similar patterns. The Church has faced many crises throughout the years, times of bloodshed, mob violence, extreme corruption, and even scandals involving the buying and selling of papal authority. These incidents are so numerous and extreme that they are almost hard to believe, yet they happened. Just examining the history of the papacy is enough to leave anyone with a sense of unease. Consider, for instance, Pope Benedict XIX, whose reign was marked by such immorality that St. Peter Damian described him as a demon from hell in the disguise of a priest. His notorious actions became legendary, and it's hard to imagine such a scathing assessment could be anything but a shocking reality. Then there's Pope Alexander VI, who openly admitted to fathering multiple children with his mistresses, a scandalous revelation that starkly contrasts with the expected image of a devout pope. But the list doesn't end there. Pope John XV, Pope Stephen VI, Pope Leo V, and Pope John XI each face their own set of extraordinary challenges, including power struggles, scandals, and controversies that tainted their papacies. So why do these prophecies matter so much? Some people wonder if Saint Malachy was referring to something far more significant than just a series of popes. Could he have been hinting at an apocalyptic event, like the one described in the Bible, particularly in 2 Peter 3:10? This verse reads, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat." The prophecy of Isaiah similarly describes a cataclysmic end, where the earth and all its works will be consumed by fire. Could Saint Malachy's predictions be alluding to such a grand apocalyptic scenario? This idea certainly adds a layer of mystery and intrigue to the whole prophecy, making it much more than just a historical curiosity.